afternoon. Amanda Wright here, and I'm with the lovely Robert Pellegrino Estridge, and this is part two of a series that we've been doing, and we're talking about Robert's spiritual intervention this time. The first part of the series was what is an intervention and what is the difference between a physical and a spiritual intervention, and we realised that really outcome-wise there isn't too much. But now Robert's going to tell his own personal story, so thank you so much for sharing this with us, because I know that it's your own personal experience, but I think that's what people would love to get an understanding of.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
we'll do that. Well, my experience was that I was born with a defective heart valve. This didn't affect me while ever I was young and athletic, and I was athletic most of my life, in that I ran the marathons, I ran the miles, the 1,500 metres and so forth. And the military doctors discovered I had this heart murmur. So when they sent me to a specialist, he questioned me about what I did for sports. And when I told him that I was athletic, he said, put your clothes on and go home. He said, look, this will not worry you until you get older. Well, the problem is nobody taps you on the shoulder one Sunday morning and says, now, Robert, you're getting older. You just
Still doesn't work.
You just start to feel tired because your lungs are not being oxygenated enough. So my whole physical persona dropped. I became sluggish and didn't want to do things, and couldn't understand the reason why. But at the time, my wife and I were bringing groups here, and we had a very large group, some 23 or 25 people, as I recall. And she looked at me in the cars when she said, you have to go to the entity. I said, no, I'm fine, you know. So she called one of the house people, and they took me to the entity. And he looked at me, he looked at my heart, and he looked at where the heart is in the aura. And then he said, I need to operate this afternoon. So a bit of to and froing. My wife then said, you know, I can take you to the group, operate on him. I didn't ask for a physical intervention. He just took me by the hand and led me out on the stage. And I do recall the most remarkable feeling when he took hold of my hand. Because you read everywhere, you know, in most of the esoterical books, that love is the greatest thing of all life. And when he took hold of my hand, this surge of love went through me, and that's all I could call it. Because I thought, my goodness, that's what they mean by love. And with his big hand, he took me out, led me out onto the stage, and put my head back against the triangle, and opened my mouth and inserted those forceps with cotton wool dipped in the spiritual water of my nostril. Well, people ask, doesn't that hurt? And I have to say it doesn't, because it feels like your nostrils have expanded to 5 times their size. It just seems to slip in. But he left it there with the finger grips hanging out. And then he touched me to the left of my nipple, and this lightning bolt shot across my chest. It was just like, and it knocked the wind out of me. It didn't hurt, but it was a searing sensation, to which I cannot describe today. But then he touched me 4 inches below that, and the same sensation. By now I'm a little bit zapped, so to speak. And then he kept going in and out with these forceps, and all I could think of, I do wish you stopped doing that. And he had my head out over the floor, because it was the odd drop of blood, nothing much. He took it out, and he said, you can take him away. So they put me in the recovery room for an hour or two, and then I went home to the Posada. The next week we went by for a revision, and I asked him foolishly, what was that you did, Pi? Was that my heart valve, or was that something else? And he said, in 40 days you're going to be a new man. And I said, well, that's not what I asked. He had a pen, he dropped it on the pen. He said, well, that's what I said. 40 days, you'll be a new man. Move on. And it's true, I went back to Australia and I lay around in bed for 40 days. And I didn't particularly want to eat. I certainly didn't want to watch TV or read or join in conversations. I just wanted to lie around. And I guess this was a very big recovery period. And the 40 days is very significant. And I tell everybody who comes here that has an intervention of any type, be patient, wait 40 days. At the end of the 40 days, I marked it off on the calendar. I got up, today's 40th day. And I have to confess, I felt like kung fu fighting. I felt like my old self again. I had vitality and vigour. And it was an extraordinary experience. Along with any intervention, of course, there is the spiritual or emotional side. The emotional side was, I was too out of it to contemplate what was happening. But certainly the spiritual side of it, the result is that it cements you in your knowledge and appreciation of the fact that we are here for a very short period of time on the physical planet. And we are here to experience life and its experiences, whether they're good or whether they're bad, they're all experiences. And so this tended to solidify in my mind that, my goodness, here I was, I've lived 2/3 of my life, and suddenly I was saved by a spiritual intervention. And that has a profound impact on you, is that you carry it with you forever. This living in a dual reality, 2 feet on the ground here on planet Earth, but as always your mind and your heart and your spiritual connection to another dimension of the spiritual world, to which we will return, and to which we will go return with the experiences of this life. I hope you enjoyed that.
Robert, that's absolutely wonderful, and thank you so much for sharing your special intervention and the information relating to it, because a lot of people will relate to this, I'm sure.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you so much.